Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Fantasy Booking Series, and this is going to be Season 1, Episode 1. And I am your host, Owen Finch. I'm going to use my real name here. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video. And if you're clicking on this video, because this is a new show, I got to explain what it is. What this is it's going to be a show. Me and James talked about this. James the Heat Man Hebert's going to be a part of this, but he can't be a part of it tonight, or mid morning because it's going to be midnight by the time I upload this, probably midnight after midnight ish. But anyhow, James is going to be a part of this, and me and James came up with this concept because the WWE product absolutely sucked at the time. I mean, it still isn't the best right now. I'm gonna say that. And we were losing our passion for wrestling, so we wanted to do this show. What this show is gonna be pretty much is we're gonna take a storyline. Either it's gonna be a storyline that we come up with, a storyline that's already happened, and we're gonna book it our way. So obviously, if it hasn't happened yet, you can book it the same. It will be a completely new thing, and if it has happened, you rebook it and you do it the way, and you do it your way. Now technically you could say this is a rip-off of like every wrestling site that's ever done it, but every wrestling fan does fantasy booking, so we're pretty much not really ripping off anything. So yeah. And how this is gonna work, I think, is we're gonna do it by seasons, and every time you finish a storyline, it's completely done. The storyline is completely over. We will end our season. Either it will be, I don't know if it's gonna be both of ours at the same time, or both of ours, or one after the other. I haven't talked to James about it yet, so I'll have to let him know. But yeah, we're gonna talk about it, and me and James. I like the way my webcam looks tonight, by the way. But anyhow, yeah, me and James will talk it over. But let's talk about the storyline I'm gonna go. So, in WWE 2K14, I always get the game. I get every wrestling game, and I always try to use the story mode to book from this point to this point, and I just book feuds just randomly, and I have been thinking about it for 2K14 a lot because I just kind of worked out that way, and I just remember everything that I do. So I am going to be doing a fantasy booking series on myself in the WWE, and I'm going to use all the losses from 2K14. Now, at the time when I made this, you can do DLCs and stuff and past superstars, so I use them as well. So pretty much everybody is going to be a key factor in this. But before I even get to myself, I want to book to myself, if that makes sense. I want to talk about what's gonna happen before I debut on the main roster, because I'm going to be debuting on the main roster the night after WrestleMania 29. I will be called up from NXT. And we're going to pretend NXT actually was a show. It was never a comedy act. We're going to pretend that it was an actual show. And that's how it's going to work. So, and you get called up. But yeah, so right now, I'm not, if I sit here and go through the whole entire thing, I would be here for like days. So I'm just going to, this video is just going to be based on booking WrestleMania. I'm going to rebook pretty much WrestleMania 28 to WrestleMania 29. Obviously, it's going to be a little different because there's going to be some stuff. This is going to be before I come in, so obviously I'm doing my thing down in NXT. I'll just talk about what I do. I'm probably going to become the first NXT champion. Instead of Seth Rollins, I have something else for him. And then I didn't really put too much thought in myself just because I didn't know the NXT roster at the time. But yeah, I'm just gonna do the main roster for now because that's what I've been thinking about all day. And everything is gonna be the same right now. Going up to my champions are gonna be CM Punk, as of right now. Daniel is my WWE champion. I still have the World Heavyweight Championship in the picture, and Daniel Bryan's going to be the World Heavyweight Champion. Cody Rhodes is the Intercontinental Champion. The Zack Ryder's the United States Champion. Primo and Epico are the WWE Tag Team Champions. And Beth Phoenix is the WWE Divas Champion. So I pretty much have kept the champions the same from the beginning of 2012. And a lot of the storylines are set in stone. John Cena and The Rock are still going to have the main event match at WrestleMania. And stuff like that. The storyline that never happens, though, is the John Laurinaitis storyline. That never happens. Laurinaitis never comes to power. It's Triple H is going to be the one in power. Just because it wasn't that I didn't like him or anything, but I'm going to use John Laurinaitis in a different time at a different place. So, yeah. But, yeah, John Laurinaitis is going to be not going to be in a factor at all in this case. So let's talk about the storylines now. So I made these things and I may post them on Microsoft Word and just kind of typed out my matches. And for the Rumble, I'm just going to explain why the match is happening, and then when I follow the Rumble, I'll explain the feuds that are happening at the time. Or following a pay-per-view, I'll explain the feuds, and then I'll talk about the matches that are going to take place at that pay-per-view. So the first match on the show at the Rumble is going to be the steel cage match between Daniel Bryan, Big Show, and Mark Henry is still going to happen. I'm going to hope that Mark Henry doesn't get injured this time, but and I hope that doesn't happen. I hope Mark Henry isn't injured this time because then I can make Mark Henry more of a factor in this match. And so the match is going to go pretty much the same, except with more involvement of Mark Henry. Daniel Bryan will still be the heel champion. And then this time when Big Show goes to leave the door, the lights are going to go out. And when the lights come on, the Shield's going to debut. They're going to debut at the Royal Rumble. I want to use them going into 2012. And they're going to attack the Big Show, and they're going to triple powerbomb him. Because what a way to make a debut than by taking out the Big Show. And by triple powerbombing this 7-foot giant. And then Daniel Bryan will escape the cage and retain his championship. Which is pretty simple stuff. And the Shield, I'm going to have be more of a SmackDown role. They're not going to really appear on Raw as much until after WrestleMania 28. Now, once you hear what the code is at WrestleMania 28, you'll understand why. Okay, the next match is Zack Ryder versus Jack Swagger for the United States Championship. Now, they were feuding anyways going into before before Jack Swagger had beat him on Raw in that squash match. Instead of just throwing the match away on Raw, I'm going to do it at the Rumble, and this time it's going to be a really good back and forth matchup. And Ryder's going to go for the Rough Rider, and then Swagger's going to go for the Gut Wrench Powerbomb, and Vicky Guerrero's going to be on Wid's side with him too, because she'll still be his manager. And Swagger's going to go for the Gut Wrench Powerbomb. Ryder's going to get out of it. Ryder's going to double knee him in the face and hit a Rough Rider on him for the win. And retain his championship, because I'm going to have Zack Ryder keep the championship, because he's going to be really over at the time, and there's no reason to just throw the title off him, because that would be stupid. And then, and also in this in my mode, TNA is going to be out of business by 2011. Even though they were lucky to still be in business now, the TNA will be out of business by 2011. They'll be out of business after Bound for Glory time. So yeah, I just want to make that clear because some of the guys I use are TNA guys. Alright, then the next match is John Cena versus The Miz. They have the history from WrestleMania 27 that I talked about when I did the Retro Wrestling Review series. I don't remember the episode, but the latest episode of that. They're just going to kind of blow off their feud, really. I needed something for Cena to do as well on the show, and I wanted to have him a part of the show, and he can't be in the Rumble since he's facing The Rock. And Cena and Miz and Cena were kind of feuding anyways, like going into Mania, and then when they teamed up with The Rock at Survivor Series and teamed up with R-Truth, and R-Truth will be out of the picture. John Cena, they're gonna have a back and forth, and the reason they're having a match is The Miz is going to be upset that the John Cena and The Rock stole his spotlight at WrestleMania. That was his moment, and then he's going to talk about how he beat Cena in the main event at WrestleMania, and Cena challenges him to this match, and Miz will go for the Skull Crusher finale off the top rope, but Cena will count into an AA off the top rope for the win, and Cena will win because you want to have Cena looking strong going into Mania. You don't want to have him losing. It wouldn't be it probably wouldn't hurt Cena too much, but it really wouldn't make much sense if you had half your main event lose at WrestleMania. And then the fourth match is going to be the Divas Championship match. It's going to be a fatal 4-way match. It's going to be the Beth Phoenix versus Natalya versus Kelly versus Eve Torres. This match makes sense because all these divas had problems going into anyways. When they were doing that whole the beauties were taking over the roster, and it doesn't matter, and the beauty doesn't matter. All that matters is the work and the win. And Beth Phoenix will still be the heel champion. And then Natalya is going to have Eve Torres in the sharpshooter. But then Beth Phoenix. Well, no, actually, no. Natalya actually, that's not how he booked it. Sorry. Natalya's gonna hit a spinning clothesline on Kelly. And that's, I think that's her finisher when it's not besides the sharpshooter. If not her signature. And then Beth Phoenix is gonna toss Natalya out of the ring and steal the victory. And this is gonna cause a dissension between Natalya and Beth Phoenix. So remember that. And then afterwards, Eve is gonna get up, and Eve is gonna be face. And afterwards, Eve is going to turn on Kelly. And I'll explain why. Eve is still going to have a heel turn, except it will be at the expense of Kelly this time. Because I remember they ended up having it was Eve and Kelly. No, it was Eve and Beth Phoenix versus Kelly and somebody else at WrestleMania in like a tag team match. So I'm going to do Eve. So I'm going to have Eve still turn heel, but we'll have a just because I thought she was a great heel at the time. So and then we're going to get the same WWE Championship match regarding the Rumble, CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler. I think it makes sense because they had a great wrestling match on the show. It's a way to get Dolph some spotlight, and it gives Punk an opponent. And CM Punk, except the only different, because the build-up's obviously going to be different because Laurinaitis won't be in the picture. So Triple H is going to have a battle royal, and Dolph Ziggler is going to win it. And Dolph Ziggler's going to talk about how he wants to be WWE Champion. He's that damn good, and he wants to main event WrestleMania, but it's going to be like a heel promo. And he's going to talk about, too, how when CM Punk had walked out of the WWE, all he did really was just showcase Dolph Ziggler's talents. And then they have the match, and CM Punk's still going to win the match. It's going to be the same outcome. And it will be the same match, except without the Laurinaitis. And then we're going to have the Royal Rumble match. And it's pretty much going to be the same match. The only thing that's going to be different, I would say, is probably going to be the guys that are in it. I'm going to make it a little bit more of a... Big Show won't be in it this time since he was laid out by the Shield. It would make sense if he came out. I think, I'm going to have some more star power in this Rumble because I remember it didn't have a lot of star power. It had a lot of jobbers. It's still, and the outcome is going to be the same though, with Sheamus and Chris Jericho coming down, being the last two, and Sheamus winning. So, it makes sense. Because I didn't mind Sheamus winning the Rumble. I would have had Jericho win it, but you want to build up the new star, and I still can have Jericho get in the Mania because they still got him in the Mania pretty well. So that's the Rumble. Then what happens after the Rumble is John Cena is going to be off TV, and they're going to announce that he's going to address The Rock, his WrestleMania opponent, The Rock, at Elimination Chamber. I'm just going through my notes. And then they announced the 2 Chamber matches. Daniel Bryan's still automatically in the match since he's the champion. And Big Show is going to qualify. He's going to knock out Jinder Mahal. And everyone has qualifying matches too. Big Show is just going to be on a tear, and the reason why I do this is because he's going to be upset, so he knocks out Jinder Mahal. Wade Barrett beats I didn't put Wade Barrett beats Low-Key. Cody Rhodes beats Justin Gabriel because they were feuding, I remember, so they're going to have the match. And then Kane beats the Great Khali, and Randy Orton will beat Unico. I know I just kind of threw those names out there, but they're all going to qualify. If you want to change, you could change the opponents, because I literally just thought of this. And then, actually, Orton, no, actually, that's fine. And then the WWE Championship match, CM Punk will obviously get an automatic bye since he's the champion, and Chris Jericho had the option, since he was the runner-up in the Rumble. Chris Jericho has a choice to either go for the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship in Elimination Chamber. He can choose which chamber match he enters, and he chose the WWE Championship for obvious reasons. And then we have some qualifying matches here. The Miz beats Alex Riley. R-Truth beats Drew McIntyre. Dolph Ziggler trying to think, because I have to think of the roster at that time. Kofi Kingston's going to be JTG, because why not? And Dolph Ziggler's going to be Orton. He's going to have a cheap victory over Orton. And now that I've gone to the... and then also we're going to have an Intercontinental Championship. We're also going to have a tournament where the winner is going to become the number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be a tournament, and it will come down to Christian and Jack Swagger in the finals. Swagger will beat Justin Gabriel in the first round, and then Christian will beat Unico in the first round, and then Swagger will beat... it will come down to the finals, but Christian will then beat Jinder Mahal, Jack Swagger will beat Heath Slater, and Swagger will just go on a tear, and then eventually he'll get into the finals, and they'll both get into the finals. And then Mokami starts going on a rampage because he's still in his Hall of Pain mode, and he just starts squashing jobber after jobber every week, and then Mokami says that nobody can beat him, so then the Great Khali comes out and has a face-off with him. And then for the Divas title match, I'll build that up pretty much the same with Tamina Snuka being in the match. And then for the I wanted to have a tag team title match on the show. The tag team title match is going to be Johnny Curtis is going to win a match where he can have any. A while ago, Johnny Curtis had won a match where he can have any title match he wants. Johnny Curtis decides to have a tag team title match against Primo and Epico with a partner of his choice, and he chooses Ted DiBiase Jr. I didn't have a lot of tag teams to work with at the time, so and there was a match I did want to do, but I wanted to save it for Mania. So now that I've done the Chamber, like I said, the Chamber isn't good because most of my talent is in the Chamber matches. So just to kind of a little warn in there, if you don't like the Chamber, that's why. But the first thing that happens is John Cena will come out and cut the same promo pretty much that he cut on The Rock the night after the Elimination Chamber, except he does it a night earlier, talking about how he doesn't respect The Rock and how he's here wrestling all the time, and The Rock's out shooting movies. The same promo that he cuts pretty much, and then he drops the mic, and it's a good way to start off the show, really. So it's awesome. It would be awesome. And then the first match is going to be Primo and Epico versus Johnny Curtis and Ted DiBiase Jr. for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Primo and Epico are going to win that match by hitting a backstabber on Johnny Curtis. And then we're going to have the Divas Championship match between Beth Phoenix and Tamina Snuka. It's going to be the same match with Beth Phoenix winning. The same exact match. And then the Elimination Chamber match is going to be Cody Rhodes, Wade Barrett, Big Show, Kane, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan. And the first elimination is going to happen when Kane chokeslams Big Show off the top rope. And then Wade Barrett's going to hit then Cody Rhodes is going to hit the crossroads on Kane. And then it's going to come down to the four guys, Orton, Rhodes, Barrett, and Bryan. And everybody, and they all just start fighting each other. I just realized I put more heels than baby faces in this match. Oh well. But then Orton hits an RKO on Cody Rhodes and eliminates him. And then Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett work together to eliminate Orton. But then Bryan cheaply rolls up Barrett and eliminates him. He hits a low blow and eliminates him. And then afterwards, Orton hits an RKO. You think he's going to win, but then he was too weak to make the... But then Bryan ends up kicking out of it, which is going to be like a huge surprise. And then afterwards, Bryan kicks him in the head. And then afterwards, they get into a tail, Orton and Bryan. And they go at it for about 5 minutes. And then Bryan gets Orton in the yes lock, and Orton has no choice. Well, the LaBelle lock, because he didn't have the yes lock at the time yet, I forgot. And then Orton taps out, and Bryan retains the title, and he walks off and celebrates. The Sheamus doesn't come out this time. And Sheamus just watches backstage. And I'll do something with Sheamus later. And then afterwards, because the Shield comes out and attacks Orton. They lay out Orton. And before this, too, they had laid out Kane. Like when Kane, because Kane and Orton were going to have their feud going into the Chamber, and Kane was about to have a match with Orton on SmackDown. And they laid out Kane on a SmackDown before this, like a couple of weeks ago. And then now they've laid out Orton. And then Daniel Bryan, and then backstage, Sheamus tells Daniel Bryan that he chooses to face him at WrestleMania. He gets interviewed, and he says that he's going to face Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then we get Mokami versus the Great Khali. Obviously, it's going to be a bad match, but the purpose of this is just to kill the crowd. So that way, because I picture this Chamber match is going to be awesome, so... the purpose of this is to kill the crowd, and Mokami wins with the World's Strongest Slam. And then we get the finals for the tournament. Christian versus Jack Swagger. Winner becomes the number 1 contender to the Intercontinental Championship. Christian's going to have his face turn here. He says because Edge is he's going to come out and announce that Edge is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So this pretty much turns him face, and he says that when Edge retired, he was remembered. He lived his career to the fullest, and pretty much the same reason. Because does he want to be remembered as the guy that just said one more match all the time? And he says no. So he's gonna go out there and he's gonna give on the best performance, the best matches, and he's gonna pull out all his blood, sweat, and tears. And they have a great matchup. And Christian's going to win with the kill switch, and he becomes the number 1 contender to the Intercontinental Championship. So obviously I'm setting up Cody Rhodes versus Christian. And then the main event's the same match, really. Kofi Kingston versus Chris Jericho versus Dolph Ziggler versus CM Punk versus The Miz versus R-Truth for the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber match. The exact same match with Punk going over. And then going into WrestleMania, instead of just talking about what happens, and I don't have my Mania caught up. So I'm just gonna kind of talk about why the match is happening. So the first, I couldn't fit anybody on WrestleMania, and I felt really bad because there were certain guys I wanted to use, but I couldn't use them because I didn't have enough room on the code. So I just had so we have the pre-show, and the first pre-show match ever was going to be a battle royal with all the guys I couldn't fit on the code at WrestleMania. Kofi Kingston will be in it. R-Truth. Brodus Clay. 3MB. Trying to think who else was Unico and Camacho. Stuff like guys like that. And Kofi Kingston has a royal. He's gonna have a spot where he he gets thrown over the top rope, and he's gonna land, and he's barely pretty much what happened at WrestleMania 30, where Kofi Kingston's able to hang on by having his feet on the steel steps, and Drew McIntyre is gonna have a moment where he eliminates Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater, and then it's gonna come down to Drew McIntyre and Brodus Clay, and Brodus Clay and Drew McIntyre are gonna kill each other here, and Drew McIntyre is gonna eliminate Brodus Clay and win the Battle Royal. I think Drew McIntyre should go over, just because it would really revitalize his career. And my goal in this is to try to revitalize Drew McIntyre's career, which I think would be great, because I want to. try to save any burial that the WWE did with him, because they'll still make 3M be a thin, and just so that way, and stuff like that. And then we're gonna have Kelly versus Eve Torres on this show. This is gonna be from when Eve turned heel, and she says that she turned heel because she always had to fight Kelly's battles, and she always had to stop her from being a hothead, and all she was looked at was just like her sidekick, and that she said that she's gonna break out into her own. Because she's a great businesswoman and all that stuff, and she wants to be Divas champion. And but they're gonna have the match, and Eve is gonna win with that swinging neck breaker that she has as a finisher. So that's the pre-show. The real show itself, the opening match, is pretty much gonna be the same match, except there's gonna be a team added. We're gonna get Primo and Epico versus Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd versus the Usos versus Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Yeah, I just wanted to do this match. The Usos are going to this is the first match for the Usos, and it's just a good match to open the show, keep the crowd hot for WrestleMania. And it's the same match, except there's a different team going over, being Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger, mainly because they had a lot of big losses. They had 2 big losses on the first at the Elimination Chamber at the Royal Rumble, so I got to give them something. So why not give them the Tag Team Championships here? Have Ziggler and Swagger hold the straps for a little bit. And then the next match is going to be Wade Barrett versus Rey Mysterio. I've always wanted to see them feud. I kind of wish they went there with the feud. And Wade Barrett will talk about Wade Barrett will talk about how Rey Mysterio used to be how he's sick of Rey Mysterio kissing the names and taking babies, and Rey Mysterio says he does this because he loves it. And Wade Barrett will win. He will have a big WrestleMania moment where he goes over, and it will be a great matchup, I think. I think they could work a decent matchup together. And then we're going to get Christian versus Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. And this is going to be a solid wrestling match with Christian going over, becoming the new Intercontinental Champion, and set up some other things for Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes, the feud will be that Cody Rhodes has held this belt. This belt has meant his life, and he does not want to lose this belt. And Christian's going to talk about how he wants to hold this belt and try to go out as a Hall of Famer. He wants to try. He wants to realize that his career can end tomorrow, and he wants to make as many moments as he can, and he wants this to be his big moment. And Christian will win. And then we're gonna get Big Show, Kane, and Randy Orton versus the Debut and Shield. They haven't had a match yet, and pretty much they're gonna attack them for the same reason they debuted in the first place, to stop injustices. And the cage match was gonna be an injustice, and the chamber match when Orton was in it was an injustice. And Kane's been doing a lot of injustice things, and they have they have the match. It's going to be a really good match, and Roman Reigns is going to pin Kane with a spear, to kind of build up Roman Reigns a little bit. And then we're going to get a Divas Championship match. We're going to get Beth Phoenix versus Natalya. This is going to be Beth Phoenix's last match at WrestleMania, but they're not going to know that, obviously. And Beth Phoenix is going to go in as this dominant champion, and talking about how nobody can beat me. But Natalya says, "Hey, I'm the reason why you won the title. I'm the reason. If I didn't team up with you, you possibly wouldn't be champion right now. And I was all for this. Out with the rest, and down goes the best." And Beth Phoenix is going to turn on Natalya. She's going to hit her with a glam slam, and then Natalya is going to win the Divas title. She said that she wants to have her WrestleMania moment and win the Divas Championship. And Natalya will win the title, obviously, since it's going to be Beth's last match, and she can go out. And I've always wanted to see them have a match, because I thought it would be a great match, so Natalya will win. And then we're going to get the World Heavyweight Championship match between Sheamus and Daniel Bryan still. And this time it will be a match. We're still going to have the spot where Bryan will kiss AJ Lee, except it will be on the top rope, and then Bryan will go off the top rope, and Sheamus will blow kick him. And it'll still have the yes chance. And I'll talk about what happens with that later on. And then Unico. So what happens with Unico is Sin Cara had been taken out at Survivor Series. The only difference is going to be we're going to hope he doesn't botch this time. And Unico will take him out with a steel chair to the leg, and it'll hit him in the steel chair right off the leg while he's on the steps. And Unico is gonna brag about this. He's gonna mock Sin Cara for it, saying that he's better than Sin Cara. He was always better than him. And you ripped off my identity, and now I'm gonna take your career. I took your career from you. And they announced vignettes that Sin Cara is returning, but Unico doesn't think it's bullshit. And he says he's gonna be every week when Unico has a match, he goes after the opponent's injured leg to build up the storyline, and then they have the match. Sin Cara comes out, and they have about a match that lasts a few minutes with Sin Cara winning with the La Mystica. And obviously Sin Cara is still going to be played by, what's his name? I forget his name now. Well, the original one. It's the original one. And then we're going to have the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Triple H with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. The storyline is going to be the exact same, and the match is going to be the same with Taker going over. And goes 20-0. And then Mokami is going to have an open challenge. He talks about how nobody can beat him because he's entered everybody into the Hall of Pain, and he wants to see if anyone's man enough to come out and accept his open challenge. And who comes out? We're going to get the debut of Ryback. And Ryback's going to come out and he's going to squash him in 2 minutes with the shell shock, which will look really impressive. And then we won't see Mokami for a while. But yeah, we get the debut of Ryback. And then we get Zack Ryder versus The Miz for the United States Championship. Mainly because I needed a match for Miz, and Ryder was the best match to go with. And I just realized this is pretty much like a Night of Champions all over again. Miz will talk about how he was the main event of WrestleMania last year, and now he thinks it's a joke that he has to be in the U.S. title match. But Ryder says, at least you got the main event WrestleMania. This is my first... I mean, I don't think it was his first WrestleMania, but this is my... We're going to utilize it in the storyline, because I don't think he really has had a WrestleMania match. But he says, this is my first WrestleMania. And he'll talk about how the fans got him to WrestleMania because they never gave up on him. And Miz says that he's just... this is just his 15 minutes of fame. So you better enjoy it, because I had my 15 minutes of fame, and now look where I am. I'm not even in the main event of WrestleMania. And then they'll have the match, and Miz is going to win the United States Championship. And it will be a cool moment. And it will be a good match. And then we have the CM Punk Chris Jericho match for the WWE Championship. The match is the exact same, because I don't have the problem with the main event matches. But the match will be the exact same with Punk going over, the same storyline and everything. And then Cena Rock, same storyline. The only difference I'm going to change with it is the final Raw before Mania, instead of a promo segment, they'll still have a promo segment, but then they'll have like a brawl with security breaking up, because they'll try to bring all the tensions, and then the Rock will still go over. Because I think that's fine for the Rock to go over, because I didn't have a problem with it. Because then they can utilize that when Brock Lesnar comes back, because they still utilize that storyline, because it would make sense. And it makes sense to have it done that way. So that's Mania. I don't think Mania is really that bad. But that's up to you guys to tell me. Then the next thing that happens is Extreme Rules. I'll just go over the matches. So the pre-show, Robbie E is going to come up from the main roster. He'll be on NXT. And since him and Ryder pretty much have the exact same gimmick, I'm going to have them feud. Because it makes sense for them to feud, because they have the exact same gimmick. And they're going to have a blow-off, which makes sense for them to have a blow-off, that Zack Ryder will win. And this isn't going to be the only thing that happened in the feud. And then the Primetime Players are going to make their debuts on the main roster. And we're going to get the Primetime Players, and on that show, we're going to have the Primetime Players versus Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex in a Tornado Tag Team match. And Titus O'Neil is going to beat Kurt Hawkins with a Clash of the Titus, and I'm going to have them face. I'm not going to have them heel first, because I think they can do a lot with them when they come up as faces first. And then we're going to get the real show itself. We're going to have a Tag Team Turmoil match. Winners face Dolph and Swagger for the tag titles, because Epico and Primo will have the rematch on Raw. Because it wouldn't make sense to do it with two heels. And we're going to have the first two teams are going to be Unico and Camacho versus Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. And Kofi Kingston and R-Truth will win the match in about 3 minutes. And then it's going to be the Usos versus Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. And they're going to go at it for I would say, 13 minutes. They're just going to go, and go. And the Usos will beat them with the double splash. They'll beat R-Truth with that. And then afterwards, the Dude Busters will come out, and they're going to be heel in this equation. And they're going to dominate the Usos for a while, for about 8 minutes. Or 5 to 6 minutes, and then the Usos are going to hit a double super kick for the win. Then afterwards, Vladimir Kozlov and Ezekiel Jackson, because I'm going to have that stable, the Ruthless Round Table with William Regal as the leader. And, well, actually, no, they'll just be a tag team, actually. They don't need to be a stable. And they're going to they'll get disqualified, and they're just going to lay out the Usos. And this leaves this leaves them for the pickings for Primo and Epico. They'll come out, and they're just going to beat the Usos really easily. They hit the backstabber on them, and they just win really easily. And then Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel are the final team to come out. And they'll have a match, and they'll have about a 10-minute match with Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd going over because it makes sense since the Ziggler and Swagger are the heel tag team champions. And they're going to be on commentary, too, during that match. And they'll have yeah, it will be a really good opening matchup. And then to cool the crowd down, because I have to do that, we're going to have a Dolph Ziggler versus... No, sorry, I messed up. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater in an elimination handicap match. Makes sense since they were all part of 3MB, and Drew McIntyre is now going to be face. And it would make sense for them to have this match. And Drew McIntyre will win. He's going to roll up Jinder Mahal for the first one and then hit the double arm DDT on Heath Slater. And Drew McIntyre will win, and he'll really be over as a face. He says that he's doing this because he wants to be a world champion, and he has dreamt about being a world champion, and he won't be a world champion by strutting around with air guitars. That's why he turned on 3MB. And then we're going to have a championship scramble match for the United States Championship. We're going to have The Miz versus Wade Barrett versus Rey Mysterio versus Sin Cara versus Chris Sabin. And I didn't really put a lot of thought into the first entrances. So the first entrance will be Barrett, will be Sin Cara and Chris... No, it will be Barrett and Sin Cara, and then Chris Sabin will make his entrance, and then Rey Mysterio, and then Miz. And then the match will end when Sin Cara rolls up Chris Sabin, rolls up Barrett, but then Miz rolls in the ring and hits a Skull Crusher finale on Sabin and gets the victory. So Sin Cara, and he gets it within like a second. So Sin Cara thought he had won, but he didn't really win. So Miz retained the United States Championship. And then we get Eve Torres versus Natalya for the Divas title in a steel cage match. It makes sense to do a cage match because it's an Extreme Rules show. And Eve is going to be the top heel in the company, so it makes sense to have this match. And Eve will win the match. Natalya will... and I think the cage match would work too, because Natalya could work Eve through it. And one spot that will happen is Natalya will hit a splash off the cage. I don't know if that spot can happen, but we'll wait and see. And Eve will win by slamming the door. When Natalya has on the sharpshooter, she's going to crawl towards the door, and then she'll slam the door in Natalya's face and lay her out with a kick. And she will just be able to crawl out and win the Divas Championship. It makes sense for her to do it that way because she's always been that way, but she tries to get out of every situation as a heel. And then we have Yoshitatsu versus Damien Sandow. This was when Sandow just debuted, so I want to feature him on this pay-per-view. Obviously, this match doesn't happen. We have that same match on when they had the match before when Sandow just lays him out and attacks him, and he doesn't wrestle the match because he doesn't want to, what he was doing when he first debuted. Because I did like when he did that. And then we have a Intercontinental Championship match between Christian and Cody Rhodes in a ladder match. And it's going to be a really good match. And Christian's going to win by hitting the kill switch off the top of the ladder, and he'll just be they'll both crawl up the ladder, and he'll just be able to get the title before Cody does, because they don't knock Cody off with the right hand. And it would be built up because Cody Rhodes will talk about how he's held that belt his entire life. Well, and that belt means he had held that belt for it probably would have been about 9 months or something around that. Let me think. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, 9 months. And he had held that belt. He had held that belt for 9 months, and that belt. He'll talk about how much the championship means to him, and and Christian would want to wrestle him in a ladder match, because that's his match. And then to kind of kill the crowd again, we're gonna have a no count-out match between Johnny Curtis and Brodus Clay, and Brodus Clay will squash him. And then we're gonna have a rematch: Big Show, Kane, and Randy Orton versus the Shield in a tables match. We're gonna continue the feud to keep the Shield on the show, and Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins will hit a frog splash on Randy Orton through the table, and the Shield will win. And then we're going to have the 2 out of 3 falls match between Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan's actually going to be working kind of as a face in this match. When he comes out he's going to come out the next night on Raw, and everyone's going to be chanting yes for him. And he'll talk about how much it meant to him that they were supporting him that much, and how he shouldn't be focusing on being a vegan. He should be focusing on being the best wrestler in the world and giving you guys the best matchups. And but he'll still kind of be a heel when he wrestles Sheamus. And the 2 out of 3 falls match. The first fall will happen when Sheamus rolls up Bryan for a victory, and then Bryan will hit a German suplex off the top rope, and then Sheamus will hit a bro kick. He'll get the third fall the way he did before. And then we're going to get the Chicago Street Fight between CM Punk and Chris Jericho. The feud's going to be the same with the same match, so if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And then we're going to get the handicap match between Ryback and those 2 jobbers that he fought on that show, so the same stuff. And then we're going to get an Extreme Rules match. We're going to get Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. The build-up's going to be the same. Lesnar returns, later Cena out. The only thing that's going to be different is that contract signing, obviously. When they have the contract signing, they're just going to have a face-off. No promos, no talking. But Lesnar will say, why don't you sign the contract, Cena? Isn't it because you're afraid of me? He'll cut that part of the promo. And Cena will sign the contract, and then they'll have that big face-off. And the match will be the same, but the only difference, there is a difference, is Lesnar will be destroying Cena, and Cena can still hit him with the chain and hit the AA. But when he hits the AA and he pins him, Lesnar will kick out, and Lesnar will hit a kick up and F5 Cena on the steps and win. Lesnar will go over by destroying Cena, and after this pay-per-view, John Cena will be off TV because he'll be destroyed, and we're not going to see John Cena for the rest of the year. And Brock Lesnar is going to make a YouTube video on the WWE's YouTube channel and say that I destroyed the face of this company, because obviously I only have limited dates I can use Brock Lesnar. I've destroyed the face of this company. There's no one crazy enough that would want to get in the ring with me, so I'm leaving the WWE and never coming back. He'll cut the same promo that he cut the night after he fought Triple H at SummerSlam. So that's Extreme Rules. I think Extreme Rules looks actually like a pretty good pay-per-view. And then Over the Limit. The pre-show matches. The first match is going to be Brodus Clay completely squashing Percy Watson. We're going to get the primetime players beating the Dude Busters. There's not much reasons for these match. Just it's a pre-show match. So, and then Robbie E is going to debut with Zack Ryder the next night after the blow-off at Extreme Rules. Robbie E is going to ambush Ryder, and Ryder wants a match, so he gets a match here, and he loses in 30 seconds because it makes sense because Robbie E is a beast. And then we get the first match on the show. It's the rematch for the Divas Championship between Eve, Torres, and Natalya. Why not take a chance and open with the Divas? I don't think it would really hurt. And Natalya's going to go for the sharpshooter, and Eve will roll her up for the victory. And then we're going to get the Shield's going to wrestle some one-on-one matches on the show. We're going to get Seth Rollins versus Kofi Kingston. And Kofi Kingston wants to face one of the Shield members because he's going to get it laid out backstage. And he'll come out and says, if you guys are so tough, why don't one of you face me? And the guy's going to be Seth Rollins, and they'll cut some promos on each other. Rollins will talk about how it took him this long to get to WWE. And he's not going to be the leader, but he's going to say, when I was on NXT, I was the hottest superstar there, and I've decided that to be successful, you have to make some friends along the way. And he'll poke at Kofi saying, where have you gotten in the WWE? And they'll have the match, and Rollins is going to win with a curb stomp. And then we're going to get the Usos versus Primo and Epico. And they're going to really make fun, because the Usos are upset that Primo and Epico beat them that quickly in the turmoil match. They just pretty much took advantage of them. Took advantage of that fact that they were hurt. And then Primo and Epico are going to lash on the Usos about how it's taken them this long to... how they've been in the company for a year and they've done nothing, and they're gonna say that it was a waste of time for your and they're gonna talk about how they've been a disgrace to the Samoan heritage, and they have the match, and Carlito's gonna return and screw, because they're gonna say that they're gonna use a family versus family, and Carlito's gonna return and screw. No, is it the show that happens? Yeah, I think Carlito's gonna return and screw the Usos out of this match and win, and the Primo and Epico will win, and then we're gonna have the blow-off feud between Wade Barrett and Rey Mysterio in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Wade Barrett will win the first. Will win the first fall with the roll up and holding the ropes. And Rey Mysterio will win the second fall with the head scissors roll up, and then Wade Barrett will hit the wasteland for the win, and it puts Barrett over. He goes over in the feud because I want to make Wade Barrett. I want to push him to the world championship scene. And then we're gonna have another match: Miz versus Sin Cara for the United States Championship. It makes sense to do this match since Miz had walking away with the championship, and Sin Cara is going to pin him in a tag team match. Because I can't do a lot of promo-based feuds with Sin Cara. And Miz will win the match with a skull-crushing finale. And then we're going to have the World Heavyweight Championship match that was supposed to happen originally on the show between Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. This will be the only match they have. They don't need to have like 3 matches on the show. They're not going to feud for the entire year. And they'll have the same feud they had building up into Money in the Bank, where the Sheamus steals his car and Del Rio does the cross arm breaker over the stage, and stuff like that. And Sheamus will win and retain his championship. And then we're gonna get Tyson Kidd, the International Airstrike, that's the name of the tag team actually, versus Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And this will be a good match here. The build-up will be the fact that Dolph Ziggler and Swagger are a great tag team, and they're the greatest tag team champions of all time. And Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel will talk about how they've been all over the world, and they've had to scratch and claw to get here, and they want to really hold the tag team championships. And Tyson Kidd said that he made a wrong decision turning on his partner. And Ziggler will win by hitting a zigzag, and Swagger will win but when Tyson Kidd goes for the sharpshooter, but Swagger's able to turn it into the ankle lock, and then he gets him into the second one when he really puts in the hold, and Tyson Kidd will tap out. Justin Gabriel will go for the 450 splash, and Ziggler will move and hit a zigzag on him. I'll do that finish instead. And then we're going to get Yoshitatsu versus Damien Sandow on this pay-per-view, and Teddy Long tells Sandow that if he doesn't wrestle... is going to tell Sandow on SmackDown, because he's been booking him in matches for weeks and weeks and weeks. And Teddy Long tells Sandow that if he doesn't wrestle a match this Sunday at Over the Limit, he will be fired from the company. And Sandow wrestles the match and squashes Yoshi. And then we get Kane versus Dean Ambrose. It makes sense to do this match since they were kind of feuding. And Dean Ambrose will win with the headlock driver. And then we're going to get Daniel Bryan versus Chris Jericho. Daniel Bryan is going to be so loved. He's going to finally fully turn face the night out, because after his 2 out of 3 falls match with Sheamus, he's going to shake Sheamus's hand. And then Daniel Bryan is going to cut a promo saying that now he wants to be WWE champion. And he's going to start his yes chant. And Chris Jericho says that pandering to these fans does nothing. I pandered to these fans, and I didn't get anywhere. The only time you get anywhere in this business is by stabbing people in the back and being completely selfish. And Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho are just going to have a full-on feud. Jericho will attack Bryan some weeks. And they'll have a match here, and Bryan will beat Jericho by making him tap out to the Yes Lock. Because it will finally be turned into the Yes Lock. And then we'll have the squash match. Ryback will squash Camacho like he originally did on the pay-per-view. And then the main event, I had to come up with an opponent for Punk. I couldn't think of one, so the opponent for Punk is going to be against Lord Tensai. Lord Tensai is going to be on a destruction. And he wins a battle royal to get into this match. And he's just going to pretty much own Punk in this whole feud by laying him out multiple times. And then eventually Punk does win the match with a go to sleep. So Punk does pull out the victory. So yeah, CM Punk does win. So that's Over the Limit. Not a bad show, I personally would say. I mean, I booked it, so I can't really say. But tell me what you guys think of Over the Limit. And tell me what you do differently with that pay-per-view. Now I'm going on to Fatal 4-Way. You got to find out why I brought back Fatal 4-Way. So the pre-show match is Curtis Axel debuts. They announced that there's going to be a new wrestler named Curtis Axel debuting, and he wrestles Trent Barrett in a really good matchup, and Curtis Axel wins. And then we get a Divas match between Brie Bella and Alicia Fox, and it's going to be built up by the fact that Brie... there really isn't going to be much of a build-up. And Alicia Fox will win because I'm going to be pushing her to go for the Divas Championship in the future. And then the next thing that happens is we get Zack Ryder and a mystery tag team partner versus Robbie E and Robbie T. Because Robbie E Zack Ryder continues to get laid out by Robbie E. So he says he's going to have a tag team match, and he's going to bring a partner that's going to be able to deal with Robbie T. And the partner that he chooses is Ryback. And they dominate Zack Ryder throughout the whole match. And then Ryback gets the hot tag and just squashes Robbie E. And he has a face-off with Robbie E. Robbie T, sorry. And then we get a Intercontinental Championship match between Christian and Alberto Del Rio. And this is just rehashing their feud, really, from a few years ago. Del Rio becomes the number 1 contender by beating Rey Mysterio. And then... Del Rio talked about how last time they were in this ring, he took away his destiny, and he talks about how he put him out of action. So we pretty much just kind of rehashed the feud, and Christian's gonna win with a kill switch. We're gonna really make Christian look like a strong mid card champion. And then we're gonna get a fatal 4-way tag team championship match with the winners becoming the number 1 contenders for the tag team championships. We get Unico and Camacho versus Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus the Usos versus Primo and Epico. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth are going to win by Kofi Kingston hitting the Trouble in Paradise on Camacho. And they're going to become the number 1 contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Then the next match is going to be Damian Sandow versus Tyson Kidd. Just a nice simple feud. And Sandow will win it. The reason why they'll feud is Tyson Kidd is Sandow will continuously attack Tyson Kidd week after week, and Tyson Kidd says that he learned in the Heart Dungeon that to always be ready for cheap shots, and he always talks about to us you don't have to just be smart and book smart in the wrestling, you also have to be street smart and stuff like that. And then we're gonna get Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins, and Daniel Bryan is going to be targeted by the Shield. The Shield attacks Bryan. And you're not going to find out why just yet. There is a reason for it, but you're not going to find out why. If you know your history, kind of, and with what happened at SummerSlam 2013, you'll find out why. So, they'll have a really good matchup. Rollins will beat Bryan with a curb stomp. Even though pushing Bryan to the main event, I don't want to make the Shield look bad, and it won't really make and and then after he'll win with the roll up too, so that way it won't look too bad. And afterwards he'll get attacked by the Shield and he'll get laid out with a triple power bomb. And then we'll get Eve Torres versus Kelly for the Divas Championship. We're gonna have the same build-up feud where Kelly becomes #1 contender, and Kelly wants to regain the Divas Championship, and he says it would feel good to be of someone that turned her back on her. And Eve says that her mission in life is to make sure that Kelly never holds the belt again, because last time she held the belt, she had to be her backside. I was the reason you kept the championship. So Eve ends up winning the matchup by a neck breaker. And then we get a fatal 4-way match between Sheamus, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. I think I needed a match for Sheamus, and this is why I called it Fatal 4-Way, because I ended up accidentally putting a lot of Fatal 4-Way matches in here. And I just threw Sheamus in a match right here, and Sheamus will win by bro kicking Jack Swagger. And Drew McIntyre will be really over in this match as well. And then to kind of kill the crowd, we have Percy Watson and Johnny Curtis versus Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex in a tag team match. And since Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex are really a tag team, and I'll have them go over. And then the next match is we have the main event, a Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Championship. CM Punk versus Wade Barrett versus Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. And Randy Orton will be returning from injury, and Cody Rhodes has been talking crap about him. So Randy Orton will beat up Cody Rhodes, and we're gonna have a triple. And I just needed I couldn't think of an opponent for Punk, so I just threw these 4 guys at him. And CM Punk's gonna win by pinning Orton with a go to sleep. Then afterwards he's gonna get attacked by the Shield, and he'll get triple power bombed, and they'll also beat up Orton a little bit too. And the Shield will end the pay-per-view. So then the Shield, now you understand why I couldn't have the Shield appear on Raw, because when they appeared on Raw, we still had The Rock, John Cena, The Undertaker, and they would have been overshadowed with all the big Mania matches they had built up there. So now they start appearing on Raw by attacking top guys like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Then the next match the next pay-per-view is going to be Money in the Bank. And I actually think I like this pay-per-view with what I did with it. So the first match is the Dude Busters versus Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex, and Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex are going to win that match. And then Alex Riley is going to return. He's been off TV for a while, and he returned, and he's really new. He faces Heath Slater, and he's really a new Alex Riley. He's really aggressive, and he beats Heath Slater. Then he gets on the mic and he says that he's sick and tired of not being. He doesn't say this, but not being put on Raw and SmackDown, and he's not going to really be, and he's going to turn heel. He's pretty much, and says that things are gonna start getting serious around here, because you're gonna see a lot more of Alex Riley. Next match is a United States Championship match. The first match on the show, it's gonna be Miz versus Rey Mysterio. I forgot to mention that Miz is gonna do a promo segment, just kind of making fun of Rey Mysterio, talking about how he wears masks and how he's ugly, so Rey Mysterio will attack him, and they have a match here. And I also couldn't put Rey Mysterio on the Money in the Bank ladder match, because I remembered that his body was very injury prone at this time, so I put him in a one-on-one match with Miz, and he beats Miz clean. There's a reason why he does this, if you get mad, and it's a nice feel-good moment for Rey Mysterio. So, yeah, Rey Mysterio will win the United States Championship. And then the first match on the show, and then the next match is the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank contract match. We have Kofi Kingston versus Sin Cara versus Tyson Kidd versus Drew McIntyre versus Wade Barrett versus Cody Rhodes versus Chris Sabin versus Chavo Guerrero. This is obviously going to be a real spot fest. They're going to be going to the extreme in this match, and the winner is going to be Wade Barrett. I'm going to finally pull the trigger and have Wade Barrett walk out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think that would be great if they did that, and that'd be awesome. And then we get Robbie E versus Zack Ryder. This is to blow off their feud, and Zack Ryder will win. And afterwards, he'll get laid out by Rob Terry. And then Ryback will come out. They'll have a match because they were having like a big man versus big man feud. And Ryback will squash him in 30 seconds. Ryback's going to be looked at as a force of nature. And I have big plans for Ryback here. And then throughout these next... After the Fatal 4-Way, I decided to bring back the X Division. It's going to be like the Cruiserweight Division and the X Division Champion. Triple H will upload a video to the WWE YouTube channel talking about how he wants a Cruiserweight Division. But it's going to be not really a Cruiserweight Division, but an X Division Champion. No heights, no limits, the whole thing that they do. And to find out the new X Division Champion... throughout the month of the entire month, they're gonna have test matches, and whoever wins their test matches will go into a battle royal and on a Raw, and will win whoever wins the battle royal, whoever the final six guys will compete for the belt. Whoever wins the battle royal itself will get to pick the stipulation. So these are just test matches to see who could go into the championship to get into that battle royal. And anybody from any company can come in too. And the first match, well, this isn't really the first test match, but this is the first one on the pay-per-view, is Bad Influence versus Sanjay Dutt and Low-Ki. This would be a great matchup. And Kazarian will pin Sanjay Dutt with Angels wins. And then we're going to have a World Heavyweight Championship match between Sheamus and Jack Swagger. It will be a good match. And Sheamus will win because I didn't have a match for Sheamus on the show. But Swagger will become #1 contender in a match. And then Curtis Axel will come out. And since he's related to Mr. Perfect and Kurt the Axe Hinnon, I think his name was, he's going to come out and brag about how perfect he is. And William Regal will interrupt him. And William Regal said, "Why don't you show me how perfect you are by facing me, by standing in the ring with me?" But Curtis Axel backs off. And then after a match, William Regal's in, Curtis Axel attacks him. So this kind of sets up a feud between these two. And Curtis Axel wins because obviously William Regal's there to put over Curtis Axel. So that's what happens. And then we get Alberto Del Rio versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho will win. Not really much of a reason. I forgot to put Jericho and Del Rio in a match, so I figured I'd just throw them on here. Maybe the reason could be that Jericho never wins the big one. And Del Rio will talk, and they'll go back and forth, talk about how they've never won the big one since they've returned. And then we'll get Eve versus Alicia Fox for the Divas title, and Eve will win that. It was just an opponent for Eve. She's just going to continue to beat opponents, and I have a big plan for at SummerSlam. And then the next test match is Suicide versus Kenny King, and Kenny King will win. It will be a really good match, and Kenny King will win and advance to the Battle Royal. And then we're going to get the CM Punk fights the Shield. CM Punk wants to fight the Shield because it's going to be pretty much like that Austin Aries Aces and Eights segment, except it will be better. CM Punk wants to fight the Shield for taking him out. So he challenges them to a fight. And then they come out and they just beat the shit out of him for a while. And then Daniel Bryan's going to come out to make the save since they've targeted him as well. And Daniel Bryan and Punk will be able to fight off the Shield with steel chairs. And it will be a great moment. And this sets up Bryan versus Punk at SummerSlam. And then we get the Colognes versus the Usos and Rikishi in a family versus family match, and the Usos will win. They're gonna hit the splash on Primo because they haven't really had a big win. Well, no, Rikishi actually will hit the Vader bomb on him, and afterwards they'll dance and have a feel good moment because this was kind of they didn't really get to have one yet. And then Percy Watson and Johnny Curtis are going to get squashed by Brodus Clay. And then we're going to get the WWE title Money in the Bank. We're going to get Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan versus Christian versus a returning Rob Van Dam. versus a Mysterio guy, which I'll get into in a second. Dolph Ziggler, Damian Sandow, and Big Show. And the mystery guy is going to end up being Austin Aries. He's going to be revealed as the mystery guy. And they'll get a great pop. RVD will get a great pop. And they'll both come out first. And this will be a fantastic ladder match. I'm going to set up Sandow versus Christian at SummerSlam because they'll attack each other. Christian's going to hit... Sandow's going to hit the neck breaker that he hits. That used to be his finisher to RVD off a ladder. RVD's going to hit a 5-star frog splash off a ladder onto Christian. Christian will hit the spear off a ladder on the floor. Actually, no, scratch that. He'll hit a kill switch. Big Show will hit a choke slam off the ladder. And Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton will hit a lot of RKOs. Daniel Bryan will hit some nice spots. It will be a fantastic ladder match. And Daniel Bryan will be just about to get the briefcase when the Shield comes out, and they lay out Bryan. There'll be and they'll triple powerbomb him through the announcer's table, and then afterwards, when they leave, RVD will get the belt, go to get the briefcase, and then they'll have the same finish where Orton wins the briefcase. And obviously, you can see what I'm setting up here if you because obviously, what a coincidence that Orton would win. So then we're going to get SummerSlam. We're going to get the pre-show. The pre-show is going to have a purpose. We're going to get Johnny Curtis versus Percy Watson. Now, Johnny Curtis and Percy Watson, you can tell, we're kind of a tag team for a little bit. And Johnny Curtis is going to get sick of being jobbed out all the time. He's sick of losing. So after a tag team match on Raw with Percy Watson, they'll face like the Dude Busters or Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex. Johnny Curtis is going to attack Percy Watson. And when he gets interviewed about it, he says that I'm sick. He says that I am talented. I'm sick of losing week after week after week. And now it's time for me to start changing. It's time for me to make a name for myself. So then we get Johnny Curtis versus Percy Watson, and Johnny Curtis will win. And then we're going to get Curtis Axel versus Tyson Kidd. Now, if you watch their feud at NXT when Curtis Axel was Michael McGillicuddy, it's going to be pretty much that feud, which I don't really know much about. I know most of it, but except this time Curtis Axel was going to go over in the feud. And then you can see why I put. So then we're going to get Rey Mysterio defending the United States Championship against Dean Ambrose. Now you know why I took the U.S. title off Miz, because I pretty much needed an opponent for Rey Mysterio to face. And Rey Mysterio is going to get attacked by the Shield, and he's going to be sick of it, so he challenges one of them to a U.S. title match. It ends up being Ambrose. And Dean Ambrose is going to win the match and go over and become the new U.S. champion. It's a big signature victory for Dean Ambrose, and he beats a former world champion in Rey Mysterio, and he gets a belt on the Shield. It makes the Shield look good because it's time to start to making the Shield look good. And then we get Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. They bring up a lot of their history when they were a tag team. And Cody Rhodes talks about Drew McIntyre always hold him down, and he's suddenly become... And Drew McIntyre will talk about, how he loves wrestling, and it will be a great feud, and McIntyre will win the match. Drew McIntyre will win. And then we're going to get a triple threat match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. It will be Primo and Epico with Carlito inside, the Usos with Rikishi inside, and Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero inside. And they're going to really hype up the Usos in this match, because they've always come this close to getting the tag team titles, but it's been ripped away. They'll still have the feud with Primo and Epico. That's why they're in this match. And Ziggler and Swagger will drop the titles. The Usos will actually finally become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. It will be a great moment. It will pop the crowd, and it will be a great moment, a great family moment with the Usos going over. Then afterwards, we get Wade Barrett versus Chris Jericho in a student versus teacher match. Chris Jericho will pretend, instead of him being on NXT, will pretend that he trained Wade Barrett, and Wade Barrett will talk about how he became great, but he didn't do it because of Chris Jericho. He did it because of him. And Jericho will talk about how he taught him everything that that Barrett taught him he taught Barrett everything that Barrett knows, but he didn't teach everything that Jericho knows. And Barrett will talk about how he's washed up. He always loses now. And then Wade Barrett will win the matchup because it makes sense since he's the Money in the Bank contract. I would have to make him look strong. So Wade Barrett will win. And then the next match is going to be Eve. And pretty much what's going to happen is Karma Video, best known as Awesome Khan. Awesome Khan, I guess I could call her Awesome Khan now that I think about it, since TNA it was out of business. Awesome Khan is going to be playing vignettes of her debut, and she announces that it's going to be at SummerSlam. And Triple H makes the match Eve versus Awesome Khan at SummerSlam. And when Awesome Khan gets out, Eve's going to get squashed and lose the Divas Championship because it would make sense for Eve to get squashed, and Awesome Khan will win the Divas Championship. And then we're going to have that Ultimate X match. I just gave away. Because Austin Aries is going to end up winning the Battle Royal, and he chooses to have an Ultimate X match, which was what made TNA great. So the people that are going to be in the match are Sin Cara, Chris Sabin, Kenny King, Austin Aries, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian. And I just realized there's only heels in this match. I didn't even realize that until I just looked at this. Except for Austin Aries, I'm gonna make him a face. And I guess I'll make Kenny King a face. He'll turn face for one night. However, Sin Cara won't be in the match. He's gonna get attacked back. He's gonna get attacked before the pay-per-view. So they are gonna find a replacement. They don't have any choice but to put Seth Rollins in, a member of the Shield. And it's going to be a great Ultimate X match. And Seth Rollins is going to go over, and he's going to win the Ultimate X match. And I'm going to put a spot in where Roman Reigns, where there's going to be a guy on the on the wire, and he's going to be hanging down. And Roman Reigns will go off and hit a spear on one of them. I'll probably do it to Christopher Daniels, because he'll probably be able to take the damage. And Seth Rollins will win. So now the Shield have the X Division title and the United States title. And Seth Rollins would make sense to do it have to win the X Division title, because he can do a lot of flying moves. And then we're going to get Brodus Clay versus Ryback. I need to cool the crowd down after that Ultimate X match, because they'll probably be on fire after that match, because it's going to be the first one in WWE. I would think they would go all out. And this match makes sense because Brodus Clay and Ryback, they're going to also have a Monster versus Monster feud, and where Brodus Clay's been taking guys out left and right. Ryback's been doing the same, so Brodus Clay attacks Ryback from behind after a match. It's not going to be a squash. It'll actually be a match, and Ryback will hit Shell Shock on Brodus Clay, which would be impressive. I would think he'd be able to hit it. And then we're going to get Christian versus Damian Sandow for the Intercontinental Championship. I want to do Sandow versus Christian for the IC title. And Christian will talk about how he's been in this business for years. And even though he wasn't the most book smart, that all he had was dedication. He didn't really care about being the smartest guy. And Sandow would just make fun of him for it. Sandow would say that you don't... So you're saying that you don't think education is important? Sandow will also be smart, but he's going to be a dick where he talks about people's education like CM Punk was when he was with the SCS. And Sandow will win the IC title. I think it makes sense to put the IC title on Sandow. I always think they should have had Sandow versus Christian at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title. I don't know why they never did that match, but whatever. Maybe because he got injured, I don't know. And then the next build-up. So, the next build-up, I'll just talk about what happened. So, 1 week, Mick Foley comes out. And Mick Foley says that he's been retired. He said that he can't wrestle anymore after all the shit that's happened to him in wrestling, going off Hell in a Cells, being put through Hell in a Cells, thumbtacks, you name it, I've done it. And Mick Foley will say, but then Mick Foley says that I was literally thinking about retiring, but there's one thing that made me want to come back. And then he plays the YouTube clip of when Lesnar said that if there's no one crazy enough to face him. And Mick Foley says that I'm the guy that's crazy enough to face you. So he went to doctors and he got himself cleared to have a match, and he wants to wrestle Brock Lesnar. And even though Brock Lesnar's gonna kill me, I am crazy enough to take that risk. So the next week, and this is gonna be built up going into the Money in the Bank show. Paul Heyman's gonna come out, and Paul Heyman's gonna say that on the 1000th episode of Raw, we will have our answer whether or not Mick Foley, we will face you, and then they have the final episode of Raw segment, and Brock Lesnar, obviously he accepts because that's why I'm talking about this, and then Brock Lesnar just starts tearing away. He beats the crap out of Mick Foley, but he gets up with a sadistic smile to show how sick he is to take this damage, and then Mick Foley brings out Barbie on Brock Lesnar, and it just turned into they announced it's going to be a hardcore match, and this is going to be a fucking brutal match with Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of him, and he's going to hit him off the skull time and time in. Mick Foley's going to bring Barbie out. It's going to be a brutal matchup with Brock Lesnar going over by hitting an F5 on the thumbtacks, and what at the spot, I don't know if I can get the spot to work in the match, but he'll hit F5 on the thumbtacks, and what's going to happen is one will be sticking up on, he'll have one in his head and then one in his chin, and Brock Lesnar will win, and Brock Lesnar's going to be covered in blood, and afterwards Lesnar will have a sadistic smile like he loves it. So I think that would work, because I needed a match for Lesnar, and there's a reason why I didn't do Triple H. And then obviously you could tell that I've kept Roman Reigns out of this out of one-on-one matches, because at this time he was really green. But I figured I'd put him in a one-on-one match on this show. And it may not be the greatest match, but I'm going to do Kane. I think Kane may be able to put him to a passable match. It would be okay. It'd be a decent match. And I figured why not? And then and it would kill the crowd too, since they're going to be popped after the hardcore match. And Kane's going to go for the chokeslam on Reigns, and then Reigns is going to power out of it and hit a spear on Kane and win. Because obviously, and he's going to be he's the muscle of the Shield, so that makes sense for him to win. Every Shield member you can tell has just won their matches. And then we get a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio versus Rob Van Dam. Now, I only just threw this match together because I forgot to book Sheamus and the world title match on the show. So originally I had Del Rio and LVD in a match on the show. So I just threw this match together last minute. So I'm just going to be honest. And then we get the main event. Now, the main event I built up really well. We have CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship with Triple H as the special guest referee. Now, CM Punk is since he has beaten everybody on the roster, since he's held the title, we're going to pretend that since Survivor Series. And he is allowed to pick, the board of directors give him permission to pick his opponent for SummerSlam. And obviously, he picks Daniel Bryan. He says he picked Daniel Bryan because he wants to prove that two kids that wrestled all over the world, all over the indie scene, and he wants to, one of his dream matches was to wrestle Daniel Bryan in the main event for a WWE Championship. But Vince McMahon doesn't want this match to happen, because he, I think in real life he would kind of look at that as a laughter. He said that this is my SummerSlam, this isn't an indie show, and he's just going to say this main event is not happening. We went from having Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the main event of WrestleMania, Stone Cold versus The Rock, and now we get CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. He doesn't think the match is marketable enough, because in real life he would think this. That's why I want to bring the real life aspect into this match. He doesn't think it's going to do the byweights for SummerSlam, so he doesn't want the match to happen. But Triple H wants him to take on this role. He wants him to take on he wants this match to happen because he says that everybody likes these guys, and this is the new era of wrestling, and Triple H and Vince go back and forth, Punk and Bryan go back and forth on the microphone. Punk's going to talk about how they've been friends for a long time, and it will be a great feud building into SummerSlam. And Triple H is going to be the guest referee there is a reason. So it's not just thrown in there. So they'll have the match. There will be a 5-star matchup. Bryan's gonna finally do the knee. He's gonna hit the knee on Punk in this match, and he's gonna win the WWE Championship. And then we're gonna everyone's gonna love it because it'll be over at this time. And confetti's gonna come down, and then Triple H. And then Randy Orton's gonna come out with his briefcase, and we're gonna get the exact same scene we saw at SummerSlam 2013, where Triple H turns heel except he'll have long hair, and Randy Orton's gonna cover Bryan and win the WWE Championship like before. And then the next night, Triple H says that he did this because he was afraid of the Raw lady. No, actually, I have to pretty much the same reason. That he didn't have a choice. And he says that the same reason Daniel Bryan's a B+ player, the same reason Stephanie McMahon will be on the show too. She was neutral before, and then Triple H this time had cut his hair. During the build up of Night of Champions, he's gonna have his hair cut, saying the fact that he was saying the fact that he's a corporate businessman. This is what a corporate businessman wear, just to kind of get himself over as a heel as well. And then Daniel Bryan's gonna get taken out. He obviously is gonna think this whole thing's bullshit, so he'll be taken out by SummerSlam, I think. After he's gonna fall to his feet, and he'll be walking away with disappointment, and Orton will club him on the back of the head. So he's gonna storyline have a concussion. So then, let me talk about the next thing that happens in Night of Champions. So the first match is Johnny Curtis versus Justin Gabriel. Johnny Curtis is going to win. He's going to have a new aggressive attitude from before. And then Kelly and Natalya versus the Bella Twins. This is to build up them so that they can face Awesome Khan. And I already know the matches at Night of Champions, so I'm not going to go into it in order. The main event's I'll just talk about what the Dean Ambrose and Rey Mysterio are going to have a rematch for the United States title that Ambrose is going to win. Seth Rollins and Sin Cara are going to have a match for the X Division Championship since Rollins took him out and screwed him out of the X Division title at SummerSlam. They'll have a match on Night of Champions, and Rollins will win. Roman Reigns versus Kofi Kingston. Not Roman Reigns versus Rob Van Dam. And I think it would be a really good matchup. And Roman Reigns is going to beat RVD with the Superman punch, and the commentators are going to put it over like it's the best thing ever, because it will be at that time. And then, what else? Sandow is going to wrestle Zack Ryder for the Intercontinental Championship. They're going to have pretty much the same feud that they had in 2012, except it will be a better matchup and a better feud where Sandow looks down at Zack Ryder, talk about how he is just wasting his time, posted on Twitter, and he looks at him, and it's going to be great. And Sandow is going to beat Zack Ryder, and then what else? Sheamus is going to face Big Show for the World Heavyweight. Well, before that, Wade Barrett has a matchup. Well, actually, no, I screwed up. It was supposed to be Barrett versus LVD, actually. Because LVD wants to hold the Money in the Bank briefcase again, so they'll have a match, and Barrett will win. And Reigns will actually face Kofi, and he'll hit the Superman punch on Kofi instead. And they'll put it over as the best thing ever. And then we're going to get Sheamus versus Big Show. Big Show's going to turn heel. Well, actually, he's still going to be a heel. And it'll be the same reason that they had the match at Hell in a Cell. And Sheamus will beat Big Show this time. And then afterwards, he's going to be all weekend after facing Big Show. Barrett's going to club him in the back of the head with the contract and cash in his Money in the Bank and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And then Randy Orton's going to face CM Punk, because CM Punk has his rematch clause. And Randy Orton's going to get himself disqualified by clubbing Punk off the head with the championship. So then in Hell in a Cell, Wade Barrett and Sheamus have a match for the world title. Barrett wins, and it's Sheamus' rematch, and it will be great. It will be a great build-up feud. Barrett will talk about how he's not going to lose the title because it took him so long to get the title, and Sheamus isn't going to complain the fact that he lost it, just because he used the Money in the Bank as a way to get it. Rollins will beat Sin Cara. Actually, no. Rollins actually will beat Sanjay Dutt in it for the X Division Championship. And then, actually, no, that's not what happens. The Shield has a 6-man tag. It's going to be the Shield versus Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, and Kofi Kingston, and Roman Reigns will beat Sin Cara with a spear. And then Sandow's going to have a Intercontinental Championship match against a face Dolph Ziggler, and Sandow will win. Because actually at Night of Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Swagger had broken off as a tag team, and Ziggler's now a face, and he beat Swagger at Night of Champions. I forgot to mention that. And then Swagger's going to disappear off TV for a while. And then Ryback's going to beat... He had beaten Mason Ryan. And then Ryback's going to have a matchup against... Lord Tensai. He'll have a matchup against Lord Tensai on this show, and it will be a good matchup. And then the main event will be a Hell in a Cell match between Randy Orton and CM Punk for the WWE Championship with no outside interference. Randy Orton will still find a way to pull off a victory. And then what will happen is the cell will be closed. Someone's going to come out in a hood, and Daniel Bryan's going to toss Orton in the Hell in a Cell. And he has the key, and he jumps this, and he puts a chain on the cell, and they can't get in, and just starts beating the crap out of Orton. He puts him in the yes lock for a long ass time. The Shield can't get in. Triple H can't get in. So what happens is no one can get inside the Hell in a Cell. So then they have to come out and have somebody cut the Hell in a Cell. And Daniel Bryan also is going to look like the way he did before, not before he retired, but before he cut his hair and everything. And the Shield comes in the ring, and they try to attack Bryan, but Bryan takes off. I have to find a way where he can do that, obviously. And then Punk helps Bryan fight. And then Punk comes out, and Cody Rhodes, he's going to be fired. He's going to come out, and he's going to come out and attack Bryan afterwards. So then it leads up to a 6-on-6, well, a 3-on-3 elimination match between the Shield, Bryan versus Bryan, Punk, and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes will be brought back for one night, and a one-night contract, and the Shield will still win. The Shield will win by spearing Punk. Obviously, I don't want to beat Rhodes, and Rhodes is going to be over like huge. And then afterwards, Daniel Bryan, because he requested a WWE title shot, but since he was out when his contract, before his rematch clause was up, he can't have his title shot, so they won't give him his title shot. And Randy Orton's going to go on a path where he's successfully retained his WWE Championship. He actually has Edge come out of retirement, because I want Edge out of retirement, because they're going to find a way to fix Edge, because they're going to do some surgery. We're going to pretend that technology caught up in time where Edge can come back and wrestle. And then Orton's going to have a feud with Edge. Edge will have a return, and he'll get himself disqualified at Survivor Series, and then he'll beat him in a TLC match at TLC. And then Daniel Bryan will have a match against against the Corporate Kane. He'll have a match against Corporate Kane, and Daniel Bryan will beat Corporate Kane. And then Daniel Bryan's going to have a qualifying match to get into the Royal Rumble against Triple H. They're going to have the exact same build-up and the exact same match where Bryan beats him with a roll-up, and then afterwards he gets laid out, and he has to go in number one. And Daniel Bryan, well, he doesn't have to go in number one, but he has to go in Daniel Bryan has to go in number one because it would make sense. And Daniel Bryan goes the distance and wins the Royal Rumble. He last eliminates Roman Reigns. And he wins the Rumble. Then at WrestleMania, and then Cena's also going to return on this show, and Triple H will screw Cena out of the Rumble. And then at WrestleMania, it will be Ryback versus Damian Sandow for the IC title. Ryback will win, and Sandow will put up the best fight anybody's ever put up against Ryback. He'll look really strong. And Ryback, at this point, Mokami will be back. He would have feuded with Ryback at Survivor Series. Forgot to mention that. And Ryback will be the new Intercontinental Champion, because it's time to put a title on Ryback. I don't want to put the world title on him yet, so I'm putting the IC title on him. And then also at this point, Wade Barrett's going to be on a clinic with the world title. He's going to beat guys like Ziggler, Del Rio. Del Rio will turn face. And then he'll survive the Elimination Chamber, so will Orton. And he'll go into WrestleMania as a World Heavyweight Champion. And he will wrestle... now this is a tough one because he's going to wrestle... it's a really tough one to pick. I want to say he'll wrestle Dolph Ziggler. He'll wrestle Dolph Ziggler and beat Ziggler because I want Barrett to walk out of WrestleMania as champion. And then we're going to get Brock versus Rock 2. Brock Lesnar's going to screw the Rock out of the WWE Championship against Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble. And then they'll have the big one-on-one match that Brock Lesnar will win. So really making Brock Lesnar look like a tail. He beat Cena. He beat Mick Foley, and now he's just beat the Rock here. So Brock Lesnar's really looking strong. And then CM Punk's still going to have his match with The Undertaker. CM Punk really wants to prove that he is the best in the world, and he wants to prove it by beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but he doesn't do it because The Undertaker rules, but also because I want to keep the streak alive. And then Triple H is going to wrestle John Cena. John Cena is going to come back and be like, what happened to you, man? And you used to be the cerebral assassin, now you're just a corporate sellout. And this is going to ignite a feud between Triple H and John Cena. Cena will beat Kane at Elimination Chamber. And then Cena will lose to Triple H at WrestleMania because I want to make Triple H look like a strong authority figure heel. And Cena will get injured in the match. We'll have him get injured. We'll pretend something messed up and Cena got injured in real life. And then I think that's all. And then Dean Ambrose is going to have a United States Championship match against Mick Foley and win. And then Rollins and Reigns are going to have a tag team title match against the Usos, and Rollins and Reigns are going to become the new tag team champions. It will be like the Money in the Bank match they had. And then Bryan will finally win and beat Orton for the WWE Championship, and it will be a big WrestleMania moment. And the whole show will be built around Daniel Bryan. And then that's the WrestleMania. That's how I got to WrestleMania 28 all the way to WrestleMania 29. I know this isn't the best way to start off the feud, but once I start getting into it, I definitely put some more thoughts into it. Not because I have a big ego or anything, but I literally had come up with this stuff on Friday, and I had deadline to put this up, so I tried to get everything. But I don't think it's too bad. I definitely rushed it towards the end though, because I literally didn't make the stuff before. But the next one was going to be more planned out and stuff like that. But that's how I got myself from WrestleMania all the way to 28, all the way to WrestleMania 29. Bryan starts off the show, but I think I made some decent progress. I made some new stars with Ryback. He wins the IC title. I made some new stars when it comes down with the Shield. They really look like a force to be reckoned with. I put in the X Division title, and at this point, Austin Aries is going to have the X Division title. Austin Aries at TLC would have beaten Seth Rollins, and then he's going to have a match. His X Division match will be against Rey Mysterio. He'll face Rey Mysterio. Either that or a triple threat match with Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio, Austin Aries. There you go. I'll do that match. It will be a great match, and Aries will go over in the match. Aries is going to hold the X Division belt for a long time. And for Dean Ambrose, I don't think I'll do Mick Foley. I'll do... I can't do Orton because he's here. I'll do Sheamus for the U.S. title. I'll do Sheamus. I don't have a match for Sheamus. But yeah, I think that's how I get... But I make some stars. I made the Shield a star, Damian Sandow, Drew McIntyre. I do some stuff with him. I just didn't get around to really thinking a lot about it. I made Dolph Ziggler somewhat of a star. So I do think some new stars. Wade Barrett becomes a huge star. Brock Lesnar looks like a beast. The Rock looks pretty good. John Cena isn't... I don't have Cena really in it at all because it makes sense. Triple H turns heel in a way, in the same fashion pretty much. CM Punk never turns heel, so I definitely think I did some improvements. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. And that's pretty much it, guys. You can like. All I have to say is like, comment, and subscribe.